So greetings, everyone. Welcome to the 200th session of the online Optom Learning Series, OOLS. And not only the 200th session, but we recently also, celebrated our third anniversary, or we would like to say is our third birthday of the inception of the online Optom Learning Series. And to celebrate kind of both of these events, we invited two speakers who is going to take us through a little bit different than what we usually do in terms of clinical optometry and things like that. We have Dr. Jameel Rizwana Hussaindeen, very dearly known as Dr. Riz, and who is joined by his coach, Mr. Govind. Just to introduce Dr. Riz currently heads the Rivoli Vision Academy at the Rivoli Vision at UAE. She has been into various leadership roles. She is the president of the Optometric Association of a state in India. She also works very closely with the American Academy of Optometry, the World Council of Optometry as well. She has won several awards, authored various papers, and she's also written a book, which she recently published a couple of months, I would say a couple of years back, actually, which is on binocular vision. And I think that subject is very dear and close to her heart as well. Dr. Riz is joined by his coach, Mr. Govind, who is a spiritual coach and a life designer. And both of them are going to take us through something different, as I mentioned, and I'll just leave the screen time to Dr. Riz to kind of take forward the session. So welcome both of you onto the platform. Thank you, so very much, for joining us today. And over to you, Dr. Riz.
Thank you, FB and Team OOLS. It's been quite a humbling introduction, I would say. So first of all, happy evening, guys. Welcome everybody who's joined with us on a Sunday evening, first of all. So yes, over the, I think, next 1 hour, I assure you that you're going to enjoy this session. But this is not a typical academic lecture. This is not a typical didactics where we're going to teach you some skill or some knowledge or some technique, so you go back and try that out. This is going to be more about life. This is going to be more about curating our own life, curating the life of our dreams. So when FB proposed this idea saying, Riz, it's going to be the 200th session, it's going to be the 3rd year anniversary, we said, okay, let's just think out of the box. And that's how this topic came up, which is to be the author and hero or the shero of our own optometry and life journey. So what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is just take you through some of the opportunities that's available in the optometry world, but also share my story, a part of my story. And people do know me on the technical front, but yes, I think the community is getting to know me from the coaching perspective. Of course, we have a coach here, but still I can say that I've done some of my life coaching training. I'm a certified neuro-linguistic programming practitioner and also an infinite possibilities trainer. But coaching has always been my passion, and all the kids like back in the school that I taught know that I used to sort of trigger them and instigate them and keep asking them lots of questions. So basically, I'm not going to keep you very comfortable over the next 30 minutes. Some of the questions that we propose together today, it's going to make you think pretty deep. It might sort of bring up some deeper thoughts, can cause some pain as well. So that's why we are not teachers here, we are awakeners. So I'm going to launch the polls just to, get this started for us to know your background and stuff like that. So FB, can we have the poll?
Yeah, I've launched the first poll.
Okay. So here we are trying to understand the age range of our participants that have joined with us today. 48%. Okay, pretty much in the 23 to 28 years bracket.
Yes, just ending that. Yeah, that's right. 23 to 28 young adults, almost half of them. Yeah.
Okay, as expected. The rest is 29 to 35. It's not 9 to 35, 29 to 35. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, so this is the question that I really want you to touch your heart before you answer. Okay, I chose optometry by free will as my preferred career choice, which is nobody forced you. You really loved optometry and then you chose. Okay, and you're going to give me a real, like the truth. And look at it, just 50% of these people here have chosen optometry by free will.
Yes. That's
43% like me. I think I am in that last 43% where it's like partly. Yeah. So
yeah, not decided yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Revelation. Okay, let's do the next poll.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question again. Just pause for a while. Oh, somebody is like, I believe or I know that I am the creator of my reality. So what do I mean by this question is basically like whatever that you are able to create, you're able to achieve, you have total control of it. Okay. If you believe that you have control over whatever that you want to create, then you say yes. But if you say no, I don't think I have any control over my reality, you say no. And if you have not thought about this question or you're unsure whether you are the creator or somebody else is creating with you, you can say unsure. Okay, so glad that 50% of you believe that you are the creator of your reality, and a large proportion, I mean, a minority of you like say, no, I don't believe. Somebody else is orchestrating this drama for me. And then 34% of you feel that you've really probably not thought about this question. Okay, this is good, great. It's given us pretty much a glimpse of who our audiences are today. Okay, so welcome. What's really coming up? Okay, and this one just came like boom, FB. I was just putting it opportunities, own experience, lessons, and spirituality, and it just came like OOLS. Okay, and that's dedication to you for your 200th session and for your 3rd year anniversary. Okay, so this is what's coming up, guys. So first, I'm going to take you through some of the like diverse opportunities. But yes, we did celebrate, but thank you FB for all the work that you've done and for putting this session together. Okay, so if you really see after your bachelor's, the right down below you have this big circle, clinical expertise. This is where most of us sort of like go and fall into, because we basically joined optometry to practice, because we wanted to be healthcare practitioners, we wanted to become doctors, we wanted to then specialize. So yes. So after bachelor's, most of us then go and start practicing. But there are other opportunities, which is master's, fellowships, and then there are master's beyond optometry as well. I'm not going to take you through all of this. Okay. You can take screenshots or you can get a copy of this from FB later, because I do see people joining in from all across the globe. So I'm not going to really pay a lot of attention to this one. This is basically for people joining in from India. When people ask, okay, where do I pursue my master's? There are like multiple universities available, which is just arranged in alphabetical order. So this is like, it's just growing up. Okay. I haven't done my recent updated research. This is something I did like about 3 months back, and I hope no new universities opened up masters after that. But there are lots of institutions that offer masters. Masters by clinical practice and masters by vision science research, which we know the 2 institutions offer, one at the Elite School and the other one by the LV Prasad Eye Institute, the Brian Holden Institute of Optometry and Vision Sciences. So if you are sure that you want to pursue your clinical path, then you choose one from this list. If you want to pursue something through research, you would choose one from this. Okay. And once you do your research or clinics, again, you will have to narrow down your specialty. Okay, so I'm just throwing all of this stuff to you and then going to question you as, have you really thought about this, or have you really started pursuing any of these stuff? Okay, so subspecialties, again, there are multiple subspecialties available under the major category of optometry. But whenever you want to make a choice in your life, be it career or be it anything for that matter, you need to really look for certain aspects, look for certain criteria, okay? And when it comes to choosing your career, look for faculty members, experience, qualification, credentials, syllabus, especially if you are pursuing clinical specialities, then the institution that you're getting into should have a hospital, should have a patient database for you to be able to practice, acquire your skill set. So don't just jump into something for the matter of convenience, but rather look at, okay, how this added credential is actually valuable, okay, not just for adding 3 letters or 4 letters behind your name. And take input from alumni that have pursued this before. And generally the entrance, there is an eligibility criteria for which you need to prepare yourself, okay? Now, if you want to then go abroad, again, take a screenshot. I'm not going to go through this alphabetical order, multiple institutions available. UK, Australia primarily provide masters in clinical optometry. And then if you know the accelerated doctor of optometry program, it's available in US, Australia, Canada, and Philippines. And there are more coming up, I heard. But the accelerated OD program is pretty much like in terms of entry, there is a lot of preparation. And more than that, a lot of financials are involved with it. So very limited numbers usually take it. Either you go to the US, pursue your master's, acquire a scholarship, and then you look at financial supports then to be able to get into these accelerated OD programs, okay? But if you want to pursue vision science, then almost all universities in the US offers. And then, yes, in Australia, again, you have University of Melbourne that offers masters in optometry and vision science. You have 2 institutions in the UK, University of Manchester and the Royal College of Edinburgh. But again, you know, if you really like do your research, talk to people that have done this, then you will know if this is exactly what you want to do, if this is what that aligns with the way you're looking at yourself in the career. Now, this is something I really want you to give it a shot, because, you know, as a person that always tells people that think out of the box, don't just follow the crowd and don't just become one among the crowd. There are people that are actually getting into masters in public health, and many institutions offer this, and you have the list here. So if your passion is community eye health, if your passion is community optometry, because as we now see that there is a lot of need for community eye health specializations, right? Because of the growing burden of myopia and growing burden of visual issues among the aging population as well as among children. Really, we need people that can then develop policies and that can then propose protocols and research models to then research and get accurate data and all of it. So think about it. I mean, this is an area where more people are required. So yes, public health is available in these institutions. And if you are, like, I do see a lot of people joining in from a retail background. So you have this passion towards business, commercial acumen and all of it. So definitely an MBA would be helpful. And if you're someone that's really interested in managing or handling children with special needs, because that's again a growing population that needs a lot of specialized care, then you could think about some of these programs. Again, this is just a glimpse, a gist of what possibly is available. If you do your research, you might find more institutions coming up as well. But these are institutions that I've either worked with or institutions that I really know, okay, like, you know, this program is available. Okay. Then comes the most common thing that many of us do. If we're really unclear about bachelor's, what should we do? Okay, next 6 months, let's do something. Let's just go to one institution and do something. And then these are all the different opportunities that are available for you, different institutions. But yes, dispensing optics is again a major, I would say, like, as optometrists, we need to sort of like put a lot of emphasis onto those subjects, especially like if you are onto retail, getting onto like, you know, optical retail setup, then these qualifications would then give you an extra edge. Always think about this, like, how do I add value in terms of like, not like stay on the competitive edge, but in terms of even upskilling your own self and know like, oh, I'm not just an optometrist, but I have this specialization with me that then gives me an edge over the rest of the crowd. And that's the reason why I'm proposing all of this to you. Then this one, I would sort of say, like, only if you get into the United States and if you pursue a doctor of optometry program, you have to give a thought about all of these specializations. But yes, without going to the United States, settling in there, pursuing a doctor of optometry, still you can then pursue your specialization. That is through these fellowships. So if you see here, there are these fellowships from the College of Optometrist and Vision Development, American Academy of Optometry, your diplomate programs available after the FAO, FBDO, and the IACL. And anything related to the first three, you can talk to me. Diplomates, AAO, FACL, FB will be able to help you. But before you ask anything to us, I'm not going to take any question from anyone that's going to ask me, what do you advise me to do? I hate that question. Okay. So don't just ask any of us that question. You have to first know what you really want to do. So don't ask that question. Do your research, do your homework, and then narrow down your areas, and then start seeking support towards mentoring and coaching. Guys, teaching. Okay. Like now how we are presenting ourselves as coaches to you, we know that when this is a beautiful quote you see here, right? The Latin proverb, by learning, you will teach, by teaching, you will learn. My journey, my passion towards like learning or upgrading myself, it became more a demand to me, because when I became a teacher and I started to teach, I realized I didn't know many things, and I started to learn. And as more and more like the students started questioning me, I felt, okay, it's better that I learn and I have to do justice to this teaching profession. So it's very imperative for anybody here who's already a faculty or who is wishing to become teachers to pay close attention to what our teaching and teaching skills are. We really don't give like deeper thoughts into this. All of us think everybody can teach. Okay. And adult learning and adult teaching, pedagogy and andragogy and all of these principles is not just, like anybody and everybody can do it. So I would strongly suggest that you go look at these things. When you enroll into these teaching programs is when you will know, oh God, like, oh, I've been teaching really, like, my teaching skills have to improve sorts. By becoming a better teacher, the gratification that you get, okay, because now people would start to engage with you more. The absorption of the knowledge also from the other end is going to really become better, and teaching and learning is going to become an enjoyable experience. It's not going to be this regular school. Why all of us hate schools? Because somebody keeps speaking like for hours and hours on the blackboard. Do you really want to continue doing those things even at the college level, at the UG, PG, PhD level? So definitely, yes, give this a shot. But what I would strongly like, if you have to take home one message today, especially in terms of how you want to explore your career, a master's is a minimum, because now in India, the AHP Act has come in. When it comes to teaching, master's is a minimum prerequisite. But even otherwise, in terms of your professional explorations or your career upliftment, I would consider masters to be the bare minimum requisite, okay, prerequisite. So just don't stop with bachelor's. Then look at diverse opportunities that are available and mix it up. Don't just say I will practice. Don't just say I will, teach. I would strongly recommend that you should consider teaching, researching, community eye health, corporate practice. That's what the beauty of optometry is all about. Like, it just offers you a plethora of options for you then to be able to pick, choose, mix. You do something you don't like, drop it, then go to the next one. Okay. Now, this is just a gist of what optometry has to offer to you. Of course, without knowing any of these, I also plunged into optometry because I couldn't get into medicine. And my father said that he can't spend loads of money on me for admission into private college. And gladly, like an angel, like my school headmistress came and said, oh, there is this something called optometry. Why don't you give it a try? And that's how my optometry journey started. So I also belong to that 43% of you who partly chose optometry by free will, but the rest of it just happened by mere serendipity, I would say. Now, here is the disclaimer, which is my story, glimpse of my story, which is just all characters in the story are original and not fictitious. So I'm not cooked up, and any resemblance to real life is highly appreciated. The protagonist is standing here, and no animals were harmed except self in this process. And this is when I always like feel, oh, what if this whole thing is like an in-person session where I'm able to see all of your faces, like giggling and just connecting with me. But yes, through virtual mode, like we are able to connect from across the globe. So yes, I still appreciate. And of course, I did not use ChatGPT. I used, I'll tell you when. Okay. I put this disclaimer a bit back, but then I'll tell you where I used ChatGPT. Okay. And if any of you think, oh, Dr. Riz, looking at the introduction, she possibly was very clear. She had this perfect vision statement, and then she took the right steps and she ended up exactly where she's right now. No, every single day is so dynamically, is that the word? Okay, is evolving in a very dynamic fashion. But definitely, I had no clue what I was doing and where I was heading. But still, like, see, I made it up here. So what I did, yes, as I just told you, I entered into bachelor's. As I was in the final year of my bachelor's, I saw a gentleman in the corridor who had just joined the college from IIT. And he was this geeky professor. And I met him and he said, like, we should do something, I see a researcher in you, Riz. You should do masters. Okay. And I said, okay, like, because you are in an institution, like the best institution, thank God. And then, like my father again said, like right after bachelor's, I wanted to go to US and Canada. But then he said, no, if you want to do anything here in India, do it. And then anyways, I got married much, much early. Like when I was about to finish 20, I'm already married. And then so I said, okay, maybe like master's is available here. I can just spend another 2 years in the same place. I enrolled. And while I was just finishing my master's, my mind is always like this overthinking. What next? What next? What next? What next? What next? Okay. I am really like, it's so difficult for me to stay comfortable. As I was just thinking of this, what next? What next? What next? There were people that like this PhD and OD. There were these two things that was on my mind. Either I go to the US, do Doctor of Optometry, or I take PhD and I spend another 5 years researching on something. But this is like the PhD journey, right? It's almost like this entering into an abyss. You die and then you are like born again. So this is just the glimpse of like, there is no return. It just keeps going back and back. So basically, I found a mentor. I had an institution, and I had lots of access to lots of coffee. This is all I had. And then I just took PhD and I started. And as I was into PhD, like 2 years, man, believe it, okay? Because I was doing PhD under sponsorship. So I had to work 9 to 5. And I had to then do my PhD evening, 5 to 8 or whatever, okay? And we work 6 days. I was working 7 days. And then you just have to then choose 1 or 2 days of those 7 days for your PhD. So almost I'm like in one super tired, zoned out session because I delivered a baby also. So how did this research? I'm like reading. I have no clue. All I know is like PhD. Okay. And in master's, I was working on amblyopia. So I said, okay, I'll continue working on that because my professor said, this is like technology wise, the treatments are like really like skyrocketing. Let's just explore something. You write some coding and programming and all of it. I said, okay, I will somehow make this through. And I was researching. I find every topic I want. Somebody else had done it. And I was just staring at the computer, thinking some brilliant idea will just like pop up on my face, and nothing came. And this is where Murphy's research law comes in. Murphy's law states everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But Murphy's research law states everything that can go wrong will go wrong unless it's your hypothesis that's actually wrong, in which case there's nothing wrong with your data. You just have to start all over again. And this is like a huge hit for me because what happened in my lab was, as you see here, count the heads, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, my professor in between. And I was like the person, and all the 7 people leave the lab. Because the professor resigned 2.5 years into the journey. Professor resigns, goes to another institution. As he went, all of these guys flew to different directions, Germany, US, Australia. Everybody disappeared, and only I am sitting in the lab. There's this lab and there is Riz. And I'm like 2.5 years into the program. I hadn't selected a topic. I hadn't really narrowed on anything. I was really like, I thought, okay, either I quit PhD and then I just go back to my practice, or I really didn't want to quit. And I'm just staring at this computer. And this is what I thought I will do, but this is what life threw at me. And that's the first revelation I had in my life, which is this famous Carl Jung quote, and ChatGPT here. So I said, oh, did Carl Jung really say this? And ChatGPT said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So until you really unravel the part of your unconscious self, If you really don't know who you are, the world will tell you. And if you take the world by its face value and then say, okay, you are proposing certain things to me and I will follow you, you will not end up anywhere. And at some point, you will just feel as if it's not you alone. It's not you at all. And that's what occurred to me when I was 2.5 years into the journey. I felt this is not my cup of tea. This is not really what I wanted to do. And then what I did is I looked at my own strengths and then I changed my guide. Of course, there was no other option. I changed my topic. I started from scratch. When I entered into my third year of PhD, by then there were other, like my contemporaries who had already like started writing their thesis. Okay. Now I'm going to launch 2 polls for you to take a pause, empathize with me, and then answer this for me. Okay. So if you think you have a broader vision of where you're heading in your career and life in general, okay, career is just one small component. Just say yes. If you're not sure, just say no. Oh God, 50% doesn't know where we are going. Cheers, high five. I also don't know.
Okay, great. Keep that answers coming. It's really good to see your participation, at least.
Yeah, seriously, look at it. Look at it. Almost everybody is answering. The energy is like super good. I know like everybody is connected with us. And this is how the global percentage also looks like. If you go ask anybody, do you really know where you're going? At least broader vision wise, 50% will say, I think so. And 50% will say, yeah, okay, this is how it is. But don't worry, that's why we are here as coaches. So by the end, if this tips off, let's see if the percentages are just changing a bit. Let's launch the next poll. Yeah. Okay. So 50% is not sure. The next poll is, I'm aware of my strengths. So how many of you are really aware of what your core strengths are? Wow. That's a great number. Haven't given it a thought. Very honest answer. I like that. I mean, we have to be very honest with ourselves. We need not give an answer just because like the world wants us to give that answer. So we should stay truthful to our own self, right? So I really appreciate all those people, the 25% that says I haven't really given it a thought. I love you all. Of course, I love everybody. 4 out of 48 says no, but the rest of them says you're aware. Kudos to everybody, because it's only a matter of, I think, reflection here. And that's what I wanted to present to you. So let's just now continue my journey. So yeah, I told you, I had my first son at the end of beginning of master's. So he's a master's project thesis. And then this PhD thesis project was my second one. And I was like, as the PhD progression, I was also having my hicks and contractions. But the PhD was also progressing. So I made progress quite a bit in life as well as with respect to career. And somehow I made it. Okay. So 2009 is when I enrolled, 2016. Okay. 7 years long journey of PhD where I had to change everything. Okay. And I myself transformed in this whole process. Okay. That's basically the moral of the story. So the me became the Dr. Me despite everything. And I'm like a big fan of Kung Fu Panda and of course Shifu and of course. But what did I really miss in this journey? So people see like these, some of us who are very successful professionally, right? And we all think, oh, okay, life must have been like a cakewalk for all of them and stuff like that. But of course, I'm already like, I call myself an introvert, and I locked myself up in a room and I was working 24/7. I lost sleep. I did not have fun. And I never indulged in gossips. But this time I really became like me, myself. But most importantly, those were not the important things that I feel now. I was not present, and I really missed out on all the other aspects of life. I mean, I became a super failure in many other aspects of life, and burnout, like total burnout. Like I was receiving my thesis and I just didn't know who I was and who I have become in this process of chasing something, because the world was chasing, I was also chasing. And at the end of this basically 7 years long journey, like as we always say, Armstrong took one small step, which was a giant leap for mankind. The PhD, which I thought was a giant leap for one person, we all know it's a tiny, insignificant step to mankind. I mean, we think, and see this, I spent 7 years on this. The meme exactly just tells my story, guys. I mean, first time I'm seeing that 7 years there. And what the revelation is not the PhD, it's not the knowledge I gained. Yes, the PhD came out so beautifully. That's my manifestation journey, how I ended up bringing out the thesis and those papers that the entire country is referring to now. Okay. But what I really understood is when I really thought I knew everything after I finished undergrad, same for all of us here, right? But I finished PhD and I realized that I did not know anything. Okay. And that's the journey of this humility growing. And what I became is this. So what the bunch of like this girl that you see here is what I ended up becoming. I had this whole degree. So first thing is like, I just thought I have to follow the world. I just thought I have to have these degrees, and none of this narrative was mine. Okay. I was just buying these narratives from the crowd around. And this is a quote that people may spend their whole lives climbing the ladder of success only to find out once they reach the top, the ladder has been completely against the wrong wall. It's not that the wall was wrong, but definitely I did not have my focus. Okay. And what I had become in this whole journey is that like I usually overthink, okay? But I was just having this whole narrative saying I was so angry with my father for not sending me to the US. I was angry with every other possible system in the world saying, oh, I got married. Oh, I had a son. Oh, I couldn't do this. Oh, I couldn't do that. I mean, I ended up just, doing this, doing that. And I was pretty much not happy. I was an unhappy, crappy individual that has lost almost like very important pieces of myself in this journey. And the 72,000 number of thoughts that we as an average we have, and 80% of them are negative or nonsense. And if only we become self-aware of what we think and what we put in here, because thoughts become things. Okay, it's the thoughts that then create a reality. And of course, my famous Osho is here. Of course, Chat GPT said, this is what Osho said, okay? Life repeats itself mindlessly unless you become mindful. It will go on repeating like a wheel. So, Osho says that break free from the cycles of unconsciousness. So pretty much I was this unconscious individual following the trails, the breadcrumbs that people had left for me. But rather, I just didn't have this vision of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to contribute in my life and in my career. And it was an expensive affair, of course. So life is just not about career, right? This is just a glimpse of what we call as the wheel of life. There are physical components, emotional, spiritual, and then there is this, mental components to life. But most of us just spend a lot of time on just one aspect of this whole wheel of life, right? And by then, if you really see, these are all the different parts of the body. Which part is not there? Apparently, every part is there. I had every possible disease, okay? Believe me, I had like hypertension, I had depression, I had anxiety, I had my eczema, I had my knees were worn out, I had issues in the gut and the uterus, and the brain had like picked up some signs of whatever it is, okay? So I don't want to scare you at this point, but I had almost lost my health pretty much. And then I realized, because I wanted to focus on this one small circle, which is career and learning, I just missed on every other part here. So basically, I missed out on being like a person that focuses on holistic well-being. And this is not what you basically call a success, okay? So the second thing is I realized I don't have to break everything like my own self. I have to take help. And that's where mentoring and coaching really becomes important. And that's when I took mentoring and coaching in my life as an offer to my community, because it's important to talk to people. It's important to take help from people. And I also realized I was playing an outer game. I was just playing a game of the world, like this Game of Thrones. I was just running behind something. And I was very fragmented within myself, and I had not mastered my own inner self. Then I said, okay, I'm going to now take mentoring support. And you guys know these two people, Dr. Meenakshi on the right and Dr. Krishna Kumar on the left. These two were like crucially, like they were important people in my life until this time. They were non-judgmental. They provide constructive. These are all the qualities you look for in a coach, in a mentor, okay? Because many of us think anybody can be a mentor and coach. You go tell your story, by the time you complete, they will say, this is nothing. I also went through this, okay? There are certain qualities and traits for choosing who you should actually consider as a coach. So please take these things very seriously. A coach should help you discover your strengths and weaknesses. They should be able to provide mutual support. They should be they should be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, this is how I failed and this is the lessons I learned. because the whole coaching journey is all about, if the coach has gone through 7-8 years of struggle, he's going to put that like into a nutshell and say, you know what, like you need not go through all 7 years. In a year, I'm going to give you all these lessons. Now you accelerate your career, you accelerate your life. That's the whole purpose of coaching. You need not like go through the same rut. And these people brought in important life lessons and trustworthy. They were like confidence. Anything that I tell them doesn't just go outside. Okay. The four walls where we talk about issues. And they were like true leaders. And until this time, I mean, people look up to them. And that's when I realized that sometimes we rely so much on family and friends, but they don't want the best version of you. It's not that I'm not blaming family systems, guys. Family wants you to be the version that best serves them. They want you to be the good girl. They want you to be the person that then abides by certain values and conditions and systems. And I said at some point, guys, I'm giving up. And I just stepped out of all of those conditioning that the society and community and the family and the culture and the tribe had insisted on to me. And then I said, I'm going to play a different game. And that's when my inner game started. All the while I was playing an outer game, focusing on knowledge and technical expertise. Then I started to become consciously, I started to unravel parts of my own consciousness. I learned about emotional intelligence. I'm an EI coach as well. I'm not going to really talk about all of this, but if you have to take a message from here, I would say that self-mastery is all about self-honesty. First, become honest with your own self. Are you living the life that you really want to live, or are you living the life that somebody else imposed onto you? You might have made choices so far based on how life took you. Like we call it flow with the flow, but until you are grounded and you have your core values set, if you just flow with the flow, then you will be like this dead leaf, which just the water then will flush you out. Okay. So you really have to have both the grounding. Okay. And then you just then have to build on that ground. And then you also have to be super honest with yourself. So it's important to speak your truth. It's so, I always thought that life has to be super hard, and but it necessary. Now I'm in that zone. Like if you just come and be with me for 2 days, you will know. And what can I get? I stopped this whole thing of what can I get, how many degrees I can add to what can I give, how can I contribute. I just now know, I know this much. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And then the game started. The manifestation game started. From that moment, it's not one single, you can't define that moment like as one single moment in time series, but that's when my synchronicities and serendipity started. I started exploring myself. I put everything aside. I started to solo traveling. I did my trekking. I started flowing with the flow. And then what happened was like another journey. So I'm not going to talk about how you can manifest so effortlessly what people would call as impossible. So you all know that I'm like the first Indian, the youngest to hold the fellowship in College of Optometrist and Vision Development, the youngest to hold the diplomate, the only person that holds both these degrees until now. It's been like pretty many years. And then, to publish a book. So, like I have a lot of numero unos behind my name, and people would, I also say, oh, it's very difficult. When people ask me, it's very difficult. Is it very difficult? Risk? It's not at all difficult. If you know the way the manifestation game can be played, which is, of course, the course that we are building together, that more information will be shared with you. But if you really know what it is to play that game, all of this will just come and fall at your doorstep. I'm not just exaggerating. When I started playing the game differently, everything felt in place. This is something I shared 3 years back in a presentation. Okay. And I was looking at that presentation today where I told people to write your own bio. Take a screenshot, guys. Where writing your name, graduate of so-and-so's college. See, I did it into 2020. I told you, right? After graduating in 2020, I went ahead to pursue my career in Dash. I got specialized in Dash. And then Dash is now one of the country's most recognized expert in so-and-so, and continues to guide and mentor hundreds of students who seek his or her support. Like this is something very similar to what I wrote in my manifestation thing, which is just, is still with me. And all of that became true. All of that became true. Instead of fighting against the current, I started flowing with the current. And that's when I was inducted into the world's top 100 doctors. I wrote the book with the person whose book was the textbook for years and years. Who then, like I was, as I told you, you need not go to the US to then get all these specializations. Like people will come to you. And then next, what I did was really courageous on my part. If somebody asks me what's the most courageous thing you've ever done in your life, it is my travel all the way from India to Dubai, which is I just from this cozy home where I spent 20 years of my life literally, because I entered into this temple at 17 years of age. My father left me there at 17, and I did not know any other place other than this one place, okay, where I worked for 20 years, including my undergrad. I said, no, I think I need to make a different, I have to take a different trajectory, because I was journeying inside. I took this leap of faith and I came to Dubai. This is the most courageous thing I've ever done, because like Ikigai, the most famous Japanese concept, many of us know, but you can go read about it, where many of us are stuck in our head about this passion. Oh, I have to work on my passion. I have to work on my passion. I mean, guys, if you only do passion, you'll be a starving artist. Okay. You need to understand the market demands. You need to curate your skills, and you have to have this overlap, as this Venn diagram shows here. Okay. Of course, we do, when we do coaching, we do all of this, but just putting all this in a nutshell, life is all about mastering our own self. It's not about looking at the external world. It's diving deeper within our own self, have certain values and guiding principles, like what you really don't want to compromise in your life. I mean, I'm super clear as what I will not compromise, and nobody can change my mind on that. And then mentoring and coaching, super important, so that then they will give you more clarity. And then create your unique blueprint. Don't live the life that somebody told you to live. Guys, please. I mean, nobody's going to die, I'll tell you. Nobody's going to die when you start living your life. People will hate you. And then you will lose many in the journey. I mean, I've lost almost everybody, I'll tell you. But then the ones that really belongs to you will come back to you. And that's what we call a soul tribe. Okay. And it's not just me. And this girl, like, who's just 25, and she completed a PhD in 25 years. Go read about Sunila Dampalas. It's not just one Riz here. Of course, there are many such Riz. And, this girl has her record-breaking PhD in 25 in optometry and vision science. Maybe I think FB should interview her sometime. So, some of the mistakes as a coach, if I have to tell you from a career perspective, please don't focus on money during the early part. Money is always a byproduct of what you do. It's not, you should not keep that as the main goal. When we keep that as the main goal, I see many of us in the community earning well, but feeling so void inside. Then not spending time on skill enhancement. We are in a world where the world keeps constantly changing every single day. If you don't change, you become irrelevant. You become irrelevant to the community, to the profession, to everything. And sometimes we spread too far, too thin. I've made that mistake. I started to sort of do many things at one point. Then I had to narrow it down. And then so spreading too far. If you specialize too early, you miss on the generalization. It's important that you build your foundation strong. Then you start specializing. And don't teach without clinical experience, for God's sake, because only when you see patients, you really know what you're talking. Because I get frustrated when people speak without experience. And then if you definitely should not be limited by your current circumstances, because if you currently, one of you sitting there is saying, Riz is saying all of this, but my current circumstances, I am now in this position. I am married. And I have a child already. My husband is not going to allow me to go study, do masters. And my mom is not going to say my, institution. And if you just build the narrative, you can't step out of the narrative. I'll tell you. If you want to do it no matter what. Okay. And understand the power of disruption, understand the power of collaboration. And this is like, this is a famous story that I would use in all my coaching and teaching sessions, with which I'm going to end and hand it over to Govind. So as you see here, this is the story of the Aztec Empire. So in 1519, what really happened is the Spanish emperor, Hernan, he led his army to the shores of Mexico, okay? And he wanted to overthrow the Aztec Empire that you see on the map. And what he did upon arrival was quite strange. We've heard this famous phrase, burning the ships, right? He instructed his men to burn the ships, okay, the same day that they arrived in. The men were like, what? We just arrived and you want us to burn the ships? And then we say burn the boat, right? Because when you burn the boats, you have no options. Either you win the game or you die there. That's it. That's the only thing. You only have two options. So go forward and succeed, or stand and die. This is the lesson, which is you have to create a demanding environment for yourself that makes success your only option. I created this environment. I'm like, I'm not going back without succeeding this war. Everything that I do in my life, I'm not going back without succeeding. Okay. So you just have to take action and invest big into wherever you want to be. And when you build a deep emotional connection to your vision, you buy into that vision and you say, what, I own this vision and I'm going to achieve this no matter what. That's when life becomes beautiful. Okay, so with this next poll, I'm going to hand over to Govind, because this poll is going to give Govind a perspective of what people think about, sorry, not this, sorry, yeah, what people think about spirituality. So Govind, being the spiritual coach, whenever we say spirituality, because spirituality changed my manifestation game. If I have to attribute 100% of my success, it's spirituality. It's to spirituality. It's not religiousness, guys. And Govind, everybody thinks spirituality is woo-woo. Okay, so you have to do the, you have to do your stuff to break this barrier that either people haven't thought about spirituality here or they think it's woo-woo. Okay, so that's who our audiences are at the moment in terms of their mindset and mind shift.
Well, thank you, Dr. Riz, for sharing that journey and giving a lot of information, which probably can be very useful to kind of take note when we or young optometrists can move ahead in their life journey. So, moving to Mr. Govind, we are just waiting that you can share screen, and while you are sharing screen, Mr. Govind, he's a spiritual coach and a life designer who kind of seamlessly integrates both the material and the spiritual aspects of life. And I think when I was reading the bio which you sent, the most important thing which caught my attention was that your mission to teach people about the laws and formulas so that we could apply that and elevate our lives. I'm sure that you're gonna kind of take us through that journey. Mr. Govinda is also a founder of the Lucia Light Middle East, where he does a lot of this coaching, and he's going to share with us today. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Fakhruddin. And thank you, Dr. Riz. That was a very, very inspiring talk. We are so honored to actually associate and know someone like you. You're a living example for all of us. So just to add on to some of the things that, you have shared, I could see a lot of parallels. And it's very interesting to see the last poll where half of them think spirituality is woo-woo and there's another half which thinks the otherwise. So when I call myself a spiritual coach, I didn't descend from the Himalayas. I'm very much part of the normal world. And in the 3D reality, I have been in the corporate world for about 24 years. I was in IT sales, in cybersecurity. A different domain, but as most of you would be, moving on with your careers, you would be working in corporate environments, either for non-profit or with an actual retail player. So, we pretty much will encounter, or you might pretty much encounter what I have gone through in 24 years of my career. So, from a spirituality perspective, I realized very early on, because I had a lot of questions as a child. I mean, I was very curious. If you generally look at people, they're all in a rat race. Most of them are unconscious. 90% of them have a victim mentality where they're constantly blaming either their situation or their parents or their poverty or their spouse for why they can't make it. So, that's largely the population. So I was always curious about life. Is there more to life? Is there, what happens after death? Do ghosts exist? And, I just didn't take life as I was dealt with it and, just run in the rat race like a hamster on the wheel constantly. Yes, I did have my phases of that, but I also knew that there are some rules to life. There are some laws of life. And luckily, I met an enlightened master when I was living in India in Chennai, sometime in 2004. And I had the good fortune of attending spiritual retreats with him. And I directly gone through some transformational experiences, and also all wisdom about life, was shared, like how to manage your relationships, how to parent, how to run a business, how to manage success, how to manage failure, the whole works. And whether it was religion, God, sex, whatever it was, everything was revealed. Now, using those principles, I was able to kind of completely transform my life and make it very easy for me to constantly attract things to me. So, unlike the 90% of people who were on victim mode, I was that 10% which was in a creator mode. So, I was this magician, creating the reality I wanted. So, even though I was in sales, I never used to work hard like a donkey. That's not the way to go about it. I knew all the spiritual principles. I knew how to align myself to the laws of life, and that's all I focused on. Obviously, if you're in a corporate job in IT security, you need to know product information, you need to know market information. So all the basics were there in place. But apart from that, I had an edge. So I used that edge, and for years together, I used to achieve my targets effortlessly. I used to have the best of experiences. I attracted the best of people in my life. Life per se was extremely magical if someone looked at it from outside. And the perceptive people even looked at me and they asked, like, you seem to have everything going right for you. What is the secret? So I've spent almost now 19 years, playing this game. And a couple of years ago, I actually quit my corporate life and moved completely into being a spiritual and wellness coach. So I've kind of condensed this 18, 19 years of wisdom, and I want to teach it to people so that most of you get your life right early enough. So when this opportunity came from Dr. Riz and your association, I just gladly picked it up because I love, teaching, and I love helping people awaken so that 98% of the time you can live happily and peacefully. That's 98% of the time I'm talking about. That's how my life is. I just have those 2% where there are challenges that come, but I also have my mindset trained in the right way on, how to manage those challenges. So, the next, let's say 20, 25 minutes is going to be very interesting. I'm going to present very unique information. I don't like to be bored by anyone, so I'm not going to bore you as well. So that's a promise. So I think if you pay attention, this is going to be a game-changing, session. Just take a look at this video.
You work 8 hours to live 4. You work 6 days to enjoy 1. You work 8 hours to eat in 15 minutes. You work 8 hours to sleep 5. You work all year just to take a week or two vacation. You work all your life to retire in old age and contemplate only your last breaths. Eventually you realize that life is nothing but a parody of yourself practicing for your own oblivion. We have become so accustomed to material and social slavery that we no longer see the chains. Life is a short journey. Live it. Collect memories, not material things.
So I'm going to actually teach you both how to collect memories and material things. So it should be a life of this and that and not this or that. So my guru has this very famous quote with which, he wants us all to live by, where you should be spiritually aligned and you should own a Ferrari. So you should have the best of a spiritual life, and you should also have the best of the materialistic life. And you should know, using the spiritual principles, you should know how to manage the attractions and the distractions that the material life will bring. So, when you know how to manage things, even including your mind, when you know how to manage it, your mind is a beautiful servant. If you don't know how to manage it, then it becomes a dangerous master. So if you see, life is actually a game, and there are some rules by which you play this game. So it's like you're thrown in a game of tennis and you have absolutely no idea how to play this game. And on the other hand, you have, Roger Federer, and he is serving. And initially, when you don't know the game, you just constantly get hit by the balls that's, coming at you. At some point in time, you will take the bat and you try hitting back. And little by little, you start improving in your game. And at some point in time, you'll start enjoying the game. Life is something like that. So once I teach you some of these principles, and if the only thing that's required from you is actually time and commitment, you don't need to spend money, you don't need to do anything else. If you practice this diligently, you can start seeing changes in as less as a month. It's not even a 1 year project or a 2 year project. So it's a game. Learn the rules of the game and then start playing to win. Yeah. So this is what a very famous master, I love Osho, where he was talking about the social reality is a fiction. It's a beautiful drama. You can participate in it, but then you don't take it seriously. Most people suffer because they take it seriously. Life is not meant to be serious. You have to be sincere to life, but not serious. Okay? Let's move. If you look at the way life is right now, you can analyze most of your lives, or you can even analyze the lives of your parents, your friends. Everyone is on the rat race in the corporate world or wherever they are running, behind jobs, doing things they don't love. And it's all about earning money, and money is what generally drives them. So most people are in this eat, sleep, entertainment cycle. So you look at it, 5 or 6 days a week they work, and on the weekends, you gather with friends and you drink till the next day morning, and then you go and watch movies, you go watch sports, and once in a year, maybe for 2 weeks, you take some vacation off, and that's how your life is going to be, and that's how most people's life is, and that's what that short video showed. And you will come quickly to the end of life, because right now I'm about, let's say, 45, and let's say I'm in the mid stage of life. So you don't want to reach a point where you've reached 50 or 60 and you start regretting. And that's what most people do. They're regretting. They feel that life was wasted. You made money, you built houses, you bought cars, but there's a lot of emptiness, and you really don't know who you are, in the whole process. So the next set of steps would be to actually show you who you are. And if you also look, Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of the Nazi concentration camp, he had this quote to say, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So as I was talking about the eat, drink, entertainment cycle, most people, they do not know what to do with life. They do not know about the various possibilities. People believe they are normal human beings, left high and dry in this world, and they need to survive against all odds. So, life is tough, and the easiest moment they get, or the first chance they get, they distract themselves with pleasure, pleasure that comes in various forms. Also, if you see the governments and the powers that be, they also historically, whenever they felt that the population has become restless, they kind of, organize these gladiator fights and, have the whole population distracted from their life. If you look at it, even at the time of our conception as a human being, it was the fastest sperm that went and hit the egg and fertilized the egg, and that eventually became you. And even at that level, you were born to win. And we all, we are part animals, so we have this whole urge to win all the time. What happens is when you spend too much of your time in sports, which is, right now the IPL season is, going on, and I'm sure many of you may start hating me for this, but, I'm not going to shy away from talking about the truth. What happens is when you're perpetually hooked on to cricket or football or whatever, and you see Virat Kohli winning, you see Dhoni scoring the 100, what happens is that inner fire, that inner urge that you have to win is somehow quenched, where you start borrowing somebody else's victory as your victory. You think Chennai Super Kings victory is your victory, you think Manchester United's victory is your victory, and you just go away home feeling satisfied, but nothing about your life has changed in the whole process. I see people wasting their time, because I'm part of some WhatsApp groups from school and colleges and ex-office groups. And, these guys are constantly onto cricket and test cricket. And, even when Zimbabwe and Kenya are playing, they have to watch the match. So what happens is precious lifetime is just getting wasted away. In fact, George Bernard Shaw, a very famous personality, he had this comment back then where they say 11, he said, about the game of football, that 11 fools play and 11,000 fools watch. Today, if you just extrapolate that statement, it's like 11 millionaires play and 111 broke people are watching. So, I'm not saying that you don't need entertainment, but you need to give a very small portion of your life to entertainment after, giving time to your life's goals. So this is another thing that you need to keep in mind. And if you see, the whole education system basically is trying to create ambition in you, not understanding. So this, I would touch upon this in a slide a little later on how you can integrate ambition and alignment. So if you look at it, the goal of every goal is peace. So for example, you want that Audi car. And if you really just dive deep into why do you need that Audi car, your response might be, because I will feel happy, I will feel excited, I'll be thrilled, whatever. And if you just dive deeper into that, like what do you get by being excited and what do you get by being thrilled? And if you just keep going further and further into that statement, you will find that the end thing is you want to experience security. And why do you want to experience security? Because you want to feel peaceful. Now, if you see, that is your end goal is peace. So if you see the goal of every goal is peace. Now, I'm not saying that you don't chase the Audi car, but there is a way to chase the Audi car. Being grateful for what you already have, being happily discontented. Now you chase that as a game. Most people, they chase their desires and they get frenzied and they lose their peace of mind and they start becoming depressed and distressed. And that's not the way you go and chase any goal. You need to, be this player where you are completely in alignment and you will happily and smartly chase the goal that you want to chase. Yeah. Dr. Riz touched upon this. So where she was talking about holistic life, she had a nice diagram. So I'm going to just say that your life can be considered a holistic life or a holistic success only if you get all these 5 aspects of your life right. So you have, a human being is made up of 5 personalities. One is the physical personality. You have the mental personality. You have the intellectual personality, emotional personality, and spiritual personality. If you look at the physical, today I'm really going to focus just on the mental, emotional, and spiritual, because on the physical personality is largely to do with body. You guys have so many experts, in the market and in largely in life to tell you about that domain. I'll just give you a quick snapshot in that. Definitely everyone should embrace yoga, because yoga is really, really important. Most people focus on going to the gym and building muscles and having an aesthetic body, but you should focus on having a functional body. Gym and weight training makes sense, and it actually becomes all the more important once you cross the age of 35, where your muscles start getting weak. So you need to build muscle strength. So the weight training becomes pertinent at that point in time. But throughout, whether you're young or you're aging, you need to focus on something like yoga, and especially on your nutrition as well. You have a lot of toxins in the environment, so try and fix your nutrition as much as possible, and so you can look after your physical aspects. The intellectual aspect is something that when you get your other 3 domains right, the intellectual aspect basically gets taken care of automatically in the process. So let's go into the mental personality. This is the most important piece of the puzzle. So please pay attention. In fact, absorb this, and and then once you start implementing it and you start seeing changes in your life, start teaching enough people on this. As I was telling in the beginning, you have 90% of the people in victim mode, always cribbing, always having a negative view. So I'm going to now logically explain to you how your patterns of thinking are basically affecting your life. So if you take someone, they have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is basically, let's say, 10% of your mind. And the subconscious mind is about 90% of your mind. So the subconscious mind is the most powerful part of your mind. The conscious mind basically is unique to this particular personality called Govind. This, it contains my ego, it contains my accolades, my certifications, my achievements. Everything is contained in this 10% conscious mind. The conscious mind is also trained by society. So it basically follows rules and morals and do's and don'ts. It follows logic. So everything is contained within this conscious mind. Basically, the conscious mind is largely driven by the five senses, and basically it helps you navigate through life. You need to know how to operate. So the conscious mind helps you in that. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, which is 90% of your mind and which is the most powerful part of your mind, is non-local. It has existed from the beginning of time. It has gone through various forms, and finally it is in this form of Govind. Okay, so if you see, the subconscious mind does not operate with logic. It does not understand right or wrong. It does not understand good or bad. It has a certain formula with which it operates. And that formula is basically the formula of emotions. It only understands deep and shallow. So let me give you an example. Let's say I was in my 12th grade. I have my board exams tomorrow. And at 12 o'clock in the night, I'm sitting and chatting with my friend on the phone. And my dad walks in and he sees me and he's so angry. And he just comes, slaps me twice and says, "Go and sleep. You have exam tomorrow." Now, logically speaking, he did the right thing. Maybe I deserve to be whacked. But from a different perspective, I'm shocked. My father, who's never laid his hand on me, came and slapped me. And, I start thinking about it and I'm crying. Next day, I'm crying. You shouldn't have done that. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, I'm crying. Now, the thing with the subconscious mind is that it is a network, it's a matrix. So you have this thing where my subconscious is connected to your subconscious, it's connected to my father's, to my mother's, to the dog, to the tree, we're all connected. So what happens, 4 days, 5 days, I'm in this continuous miserable mindset. So it comes to a point where my subconscious start thinking, this guy feels so deep about this. He seems to be loving it. So let's give him more of it. So now my subconscious contacts my best friend's subconscious and he comes and says something really nasty to me. And I'm shocked. How could my best friend, who I love so much, I've done so much for him, he shouldn't have said that. How could he do that? And I start, again going into this negative vortex where I'm just whining and feeling miserable and feeling sad and crying. 7 days later, my subconscious thinks, wow, this guy really seems to love it so much. Let's give it more of it. Now I'm driving my dad's new car and I meet with an accident. Now, what has happened is that I start thinking that, life is unjust. There is no divine justice. Life is out to screw me. There is no, that's how people generally operate. I don't realize that I'm actually co-creating the next set of events in our life. We are actually co-creators. So you have the God component and you have the human component. So from that perspective, we have the power to create our reality. And we have become, we are also biomagnets. So the properties of a magnet is, on one hand, it attracts, on the other hand, it repels. So we have become a powerful magnet for attracting misery and sadness and negative situations into our life. And on the other hand, whatever little good is also there in our life gets repelled away. So this is something you need to remember next time that you're constantly sad. or you're basically experiencing a negative emotion. It could be fear, it could be anger, it could be worry, it could be guilt, it could be jealousy, I don't know, or hatred, whatever it is. You need to, human that you are, you will experience that feeling. But I would say that experience it fully and quickly snap out as soon as you can, maybe within the next 10 minutes, maximum an hour, maximum a day. Because if you keep replaying it, your subconscious will start thinking you love it, and it'll start giving you more and more of it. So the idea is basically to, as much as I've given you a negative example, the opposite is also true. So if you can become a very powerful and positive magnet where you're constantly attracting positive situations and positive people, and you're constantly repelling negative situations and negative people, you will suddenly find that your life has become magical. This is what I was talking about when people used to observe my life and ask me. This is what I did. I just turned the whole domain around, and I started doing things that make me happy. So I will share that with you. What do you do exactly? So basically, your mind is a bunch of thoughts and feelings. And if you see most people, let's say 95% of them have no control over their mind. It's on autopilot. They're operating unconsciously. Thoughts just keep coming in. So that's how most people operate, which is okay. So initially, you need to take stock of the situation. So these are the 4 domains. You have positive thoughts, positive feelings, negative thoughts, negative feelings. How do you manage them? So if you see positive thoughts, whenever you have positive thoughts, you dwell there as much as you want. Daydream, visualize. Every chance you get, you start thinking about something nice. In fact, you should revisit some of the most beautiful memories you have had in your life and just keep replaying that. Because now what you're doing is you're training your subconscious, and your subconscious think, wow, she loves it so much. Let's give her more of it. Now it will conspire the situations to give you more and more happy situations, happy people, and things like that. Between thoughts and feelings are more powerful than thoughts. So whenever you get a chance, you need to follow your bliss. Okay, do things that make you happy. It doesn't have to be great things. Even if you like going for a walk on the beach, you like watching a sunset, sunrise, eating that cheesecake, the small pleasures of life, gift yourself that. Do things that make you happy. There are some of these things which are costless luxuries. Watching a sunset is not going to cost you money. Watching a sunrise is not going to cost you money. So do small things, spend a lot of time in nature, things that make you happy. Do the small things, celebrate. In fact, India as a country, we have been gifted with so many festivals. Use every chance to celebrate. Even if you don't have festivals, gather your friends and do things that make you happy, because you're training your subconscious to give you more and more of it. Yeah. Negative thoughts. Whenever you have negative thoughts, use the word cancel. So let's say you're driving in one of the busy roads in your city, and the monkey mind will suddenly come up with, what if I meet with an accident? And it will just think, and it will keep driving. Now, what's happened is you've released a thought, and a thought has to manifest. So 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, you might meet with an accident. And the thing is that you won't be able to see the connection between your thought and the accident, because it's about 5 weeks gap in between both these things. So every time you have a negative thought, you just use the word cancel in your mind and just move on to the next thought. And negative feelings. This is really important. So this is where most of people are stuck with. In fact, negative feelings and pain and all have been best friends for many of you since childhood. It feels more closer to you. In fact, most of life is negative and pain and misery, and punctuated with happiness here and there. That's what most people's lives are. So we need to now change that domain. So negative feelings, as I said, it's okay to feel negatively. So whenever you have anger, it's okay to experience anger. And then, if you want to shift out, you just need to change your mindset. Start counting your blessings. move into an attitude of gratitude. What am I complaining about? I have a good life. I have a roof above my head. I have nice clothes to wear. I'm healthy. My parents are there. My children are there. I have siblings. I have friends. I'm so gifted. The problem with people is that 90% of your life is actually going right. Or in some instances, 95% of your life is going right. Our optics is on that 5% or 10% that is missing. And that's a very ungrateful way of looking at life. If you want to, actually look, you just have to compare yourself with someone who doesn't have most of the things that you guys currently have. So move into an attitude of gratitude, follow your bliss, do that, shift your mood, listen to your favorite music, go for a drive, go for a walk. In fact, one of the best things to beat depression and other things is to just keep moving, just keep walking, and your mind will slowly start coming to a rest. So negative feelings, you experience it and you quickly snap out. And there might be some instances where the negative feeling is huge, where you can't quickly snap out. For example, in the case of death, in the case of betrayal, where, in 10 minutes or 1 hour or one day, you can't snap out of it. So there is this Hawaiian mantra called Ho'oponopono. In short, we call it Hopo. It is basically 4 sentences in English where you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So you're supposed to keep chanting this. So let's say someone has come and shouted at you and you're really angry. And someone shouted at you in front of the full office and it was so humiliating. So you're not able to snap out of it. But as I said, if you allow that thought and that feeling to play in your mind, you will eventually start creating the next set of events in your life. Your subconscious will create it, and you don't want more and more negative situations and negative people in your life. So the smartest thing to do is to, when that missile of anger is coming, you send a counter missile. And this Ho'oponopono prayer, which is these 4 sentences, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, is basically that counter missile. So as anger is arising and as bad words are coming up or whatever is coming up, you just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Just till the whole thing subsides. You can use this this formula or this mantra. It's really useful. You can actually use it even if you're not finding parking in a mall. You can start chanting this mantra. You see some obstacles, you can start chanting this mantra. So it's pretty useful. Yep, let's move on quickly. So with all this information that has been shared, some people, they look back at their past and they're like, if only I knew this before, I would have done all these things differently. No, there is something known as divine timing. And right now is that time. So when you look at your past, you need to forgive your past, because if you actually analyze, your past doesn't exist anywhere other than in your memory. It is not stored in some bank. It is not stored anywhere. It is just in your memory. And all you need to do is reboot it and clear the hard drive. Because when you are angry or when you hate someone, that person is not the one who's getting affected. It is you who's getting affected. And as doctors, you know that a lot of negativity, creates acidic or acidity in your body, and that creates inflammation, and inflammation creates a whole host of diseases and issues. So you don't want to be doing that. So quickly learn your lesson, look at the past, quickly learn your lesson, forgive and move on. And when you look to the future, look at it prayerfully. In fact, if I have to talk about prayer, if you see, most people's prayer is nothing but a begging list. Like, God give me that, God give me this. Your prayer should only be thank you. There is nothing else. You just constantly say thank you, thank you. Thank you should be your only prayer. And the most smartest, wisest thing you can do is to be present in the present gratefully. A lot of people went to sleep last night, including millionaires and billionaires. They didn't wake up today. So you woke up, your family woke up, your friends woke up. You have been given another chance at life. So we need to be waking up with gratitude. We need to move through the whole day with gratitude. And we need to go to bed with gratitude. Yeah. This is another interesting video. I just came across this a couple of days ago, and it basically just kind of sums up whatever I just shared with you on the subconscious part.
Here are 3 ways your thoughts create your reality. Number 1, electromagnetic fields. Your thoughts generate electromagnetic fields, attracting experiences of similar frequencies. Positive thoughts emit higher frequencies, drawing positive experiences, while negative thoughts attract the opposite. Number 2, the subconscious mind. Repeated thoughts with strong emotions impress your subconscious mind, which acts like a missile locked onto a target. It relentlessly pursues the goal, constantly correcting course until it's achieved. Number 3, the heart-brain connection. The heart also sends out electromagnetic signals through emotions. When thoughts and feelings merge, they become a potent force of attraction, amplifying your manifestation power. Cultivate a harmonious heart-brain connection for a life-changing impact. Harness the power of your thoughts and bend reality to your will.
So yeah, basically, someone like Dr. Riz has used some of those things. Even I have used some of those principles, and we've basically created the life that we wanted, and we've manifested things as we want. So in order to get there, you need to first clean the the gutters that most of us might be having here, and this is the way to go about it, where you train your subconscious mind to look for the positive thoughts, positive feelings. Negative thoughts you cancel, negative feelings you experience the negative feeling and quickly snap out, and then after a while critically analyze if there was a lesson for you in that incident, or it happened because of the immaturity of the other person. If there's a lesson for you, take it. If there is not, if it is just the immaturity of the other person, just forgive and move on. Because if you don't, it's basically your life that you are messing. Now, coming to the emotional personality, this is a very important domain, because if you see, the emotional personality is the one that's largely controlling the subconscious mind, because it understands only deep and shallow. So from that perspective, you need to feel very deep about your positive experiences. Most of us, our positive experiences are fleeting. Yes, we got a promotion. We felt good for a few hours or maybe for a day, and then quickly you've moved to the next thing. No, you should stand there and celebrate. If you see, when a cricket team wins a match or an athlete wins a race, they take a victory lap around the stadium, and that victory lap is basically telling your subconscious, I'm loving this, I'm celebrating this. So you need to prolong your positive experiences, and take the juice out of it till you reach a point where your subconscious is trained. Yeah. And so that it will give you more and more of those positive thoughts, positive experiences and positive people, and it will really make your life magical. How do you manage your emotions? If you look at it, this is a very interesting thing. It's called CAR. At any given point in time, you will be faced with situations. And when those situations come, you just need to apply this formula, which is, can I change it? Yeah, if I can try and change it, I'll try and change it. If I can't change it, then I will accept the unchangeable. And if it is completely unacceptable to me, then I will remove myself from the equation. So at any given point in time, most people suffer because, they might find a partner and they think I can change him or her. And then afterwards, they realize they can't change. So some of them accept it and then they find peace, because when you don't accept, you resist. And whatever you resist, it continues to happen, leaving you miserable. So either you accept it and find peace, or if it is completely unacceptable, then you just remove yourself from that equation, remove yourself from that relationship, remove yourself from that company, and just move on with life. You cannot be in a place where you're constantly feeling bad, feeling miserable, because again, subconscious, it just goes back there. You need to give it the right environment and the right set of inputs to get the desired output. Yeah. Now we finally move into the spiritual personality, and this is so interesting for me, because half of you said that spirituality is woo-woo. So to the other half, or maybe even to the whole group, the thing is, when you have divinity, call it whatever you want to call it, God, you want to call it source, you want to call it universe. People think that science and spirituality are separate subjects. No. In fact, if you go deeper into spirituality, you'll find it is one of the highest science. Most people don't have the habit of reading these days. They're all so caught up with their lives and making money, making ends meet. 80% or 90% of them are suffering from relationship issues. So everyone is caught in their own drama. They really don't have time to pursue wisdom. So I'm going to condense it and share some things with you on how spirituality is one of the highest signs, to the extent that even within the scientific community, the quantum physicists are the ones who are closest to accepting that spirituality is actually the granddaddy of science. And many of the things that the quantum physicists have now found has been existing in spirituality and in religious texts for millennia right now. So they're just coming to terms with it. You have obviously the other scientific community, but just because they are running life doesn't mean that they're correct. So the smart thing you can do is, let's say you were a local cricket team in your colony, and for some reason, Virat Kohli happens to be there, and there are two teams playing, and Virat Kohli joins your team. Don't you think there is a very good chance that you will win? So it's the same principle here. If by some chance you can actually get the divine force into your team, don't you think you can actually create the life that you want? So if even in Bhagavad Gita, there is this situation before the Mahabharat war where Duryodhana and Arjuna go to meet Krishna, and both of them want Krishna as part of their team. Krishna says that, I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to come. But one of you can have my army and the other one can have me. So Duryodhana got the first right of refusal. So Duryodhana says, I'll just take your army, Krishna. And he goes. And Arjuna says, what else will I want other than you, Krishna? So Arjuna gets Krishna. Duryodhana goes to the court, and in front of the whole court, he says, that fool Arjuna, instead of taking Krishna's army, which is, the powerful Yadavas, he took Krishna, who is even refusing to fight. What a fool he was. Hearing this, Duryodhana's dad, Dhritarashtra, the blind guy, had a tear in his eye, because he realized when God is against you, there is no way you're going to win. Okay, and on the other hand, when God is with you, there is no way, you cannot win. So the principle that I'm going to share basically is how to get God into your team. And it's not it's not rocket science. It's basically a few laws of alignment. You just get it, and you'll start seeing divinity in your life. And then life starts getting magical, miraculous. On a daily basis, you can experience miracles. And when you see the divine presence in your life, the invincibility that you will feel is unmatchable. So let's move ahead. Most people suffer in life because they do not have a connection with God or divinity or source or universe, whatever you want to call it. Because for them, they are Sunday Christians or Friday Muslims or Tuesday Hindus, where, you go to God or you go to divinity when you have trouble. You're very opportunistic, and only when you need something or when you're in trouble, you remember the divine force and you go. And again, when your issue is sorted, you again get carried away with life. So when you actually make God the centrifugal force of your life, the Meera Krishna kind of connect, or the Rumi Allah kind of connect, when you get into that level of connect is when you will start witnessing miracles in your life, and you will start seeing this divine is now starting to orchestrate your life. Why would you as a human being, like for example, do I want to drive from Chennai to Delhi in my car, or do I want to be driven from Chennai to Delhi by an amazing driver? So the smart thing is to be driven over such a long distance. So even in your life, do you want God to drive it for you, or you want to struggle like a donkey and go through all the troubles and do it? It's just a question of being smart, and you can actually work yourself to a point where you can actually manifest God in your team, in your life. And when you do this, you will find that what do most people actually suffer from? It's not even anger or hatred. On a daily basis, people suffer from fear and worry. And if you see, the fear and worry are nothing but you see this ego? So all of us have this God component within us and an ego component within us. So when we were children, the God component was more dominant. And as we become adults, the ego takes center stage. So the ego feels threatened. The ego feels, you are you, I am me. I need to protect myself in this big bad world. So it's the ego that feels fear. It's the ego that worries. So again, if I have to refer to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, your job is to do your best and leave the results to me. So similarly, you have to go through life in such a way that you do your best. And then you are completely surrendered to the divine, that the divine starts manifesting things for you. You might be asking for a Maruti 800. He plans to give you a Mercedes Benz. So you need to see every incident in your life, every instance in your life, even the ones that you call negative. Like for example, in some instances, some of us might get fired from our jobs, and you might see it as a negative instance. But if you have this thing called Prashada Buddhi, where you see everything as a gift from the Lord, and you have this complete faith and surrender that, He has some plans for me. And I don't know what it is. I can't see what it is, but I have complete faith in Him. And when you proceed with that, you are peaceful. And just a little round the corner, you will find that, okay, I didn't get that Maruti 800 because this Mercedes Benz was coming. So you need to practice faith. And the more and more you hold on to this energy, the divine energy, and you're living surrendered, more and more ego drops. And when ego drops, fear, worry, all those things drop, because it's His job to take care of you. You guys didn't come here out of nature. Just, you didn't spring up from under the thing. There are a lot of divine forces at play. So I'm not getting into this atheist, agnostic discussions. There's no time for it. But on the premise that the whole thing operates in a divine order and divine timing, the smartest thing is to hold on to God quickly. If I have to give you an example, let's say when you were 2-3 years old, your dad holds your hand and crosses this busy road, and there are bikes coming, there are cars coming. He takes 2 steps forward, he takes 3 steps backward, he lets the car pass, he lets the bike pass, and then finally you guys on the other side of the road. In this whole process, what were you doing? You were just holding Papa's hands, you were dancing, you were singing, you were not bothered about the car or the bike. It's not your job to take care of it. It was your dad's job to take you safely across to the other side. I don't know why when we become adults, we suddenly think that we have to do everything. As I said, you do your best and then you live surrendered. So it's His job. He brought you here. Okay, so it's His job to take care of you and take you to the end of your life. And it's your job to dance and sing and be happy and, happily cross this whole bridge called life and enjoy the whole process. We didn't come here to suffer. And if some of these quotes, obviously I don't have time to expand, but if you see in the whole gamut, God became man so that man can again become God. So, from a very exalted state, you have become human being. And in this human being, you have animal personalities within you. So you have to eventually transcend these animal personalities and purify yourself to such extent that God can actually see a mirror reflection of itself in you. And then is when the whole thing starts, becoming more miraculous. And in this whole journey, the Hindu says, if God wished to hide, God would choose man to hide in. That was the last place man would look for God. Because if you see, most of us, we are looking outside. We are looking at, temples and churches and mosques and babas and fakirs and wherever. We don't go in. So, again, going back to Bhagavad Gita, and in one of the verses, Krishna actually tells Arjuna, if you look outside, I'm the farthest of the far. If you decide to look inward, I'm the nearest of the near. So that's where it is. Now that someone's actually shared this with you, make more efforts to go inwards. Practice silence on a daily basis, at least for 10 minutes. Because I've now shared all the principles with you, and I want to share with you how to actually implement and make it easy. You need to get it towards you quickly. So if you see, the greatest technology that's hidden from you is your own consciousness. And the powers that be, they basically don't want people to think for themselves. They want everyone to be robots. They want everyone to obey orders. So they don't want you to actually realize your own powers. They've done a lot of things in the meanwhile. They poisoned you, they poisoned your water. They put fluoride in your toothpaste so that your pineal gland is blocked, so that you don't have access to other dimensions and galaxies from where you can get wisdoms and downloads. So how do you attract the life and make it manifest quickly? So this is the last part where we get into energy dynamics. So that there are three types of energy: physical source, psychic source, perennial source. Physical source is basically the food, the energy that you get from food. So the lighter it is, the better it is for you. So you have you eat more fruits and vegetables, or if you're a non-vegetarian eater, you stick to fish and chicken, and you avoid the red meats because they are very dense in vibration. And when you're trying to meditate, you're actually trying to basically become more and more lighter. So food plays a huge role in in way you manage your energy. The last one, the perennial source, is the one where when you have a goal that's larger than you, that's when the existential source of energy is also given to you. Like, for example, if you have a goal that I want to make 1 lakh per annum, or let's say 10 lakhs per annum, that mostly is a selfish goal. There's nothing wrong with it. So, it's for you, your family, and that's about it. But let's say you want to make about 1 crore per annum because you want to give employment to 50 people. Now, that is a goal that is larger than you. So, when you have such a goal, there is an extra source of energy that's available from the universe which comes to you. So let's forget the physical and perennial at the point in time. The psychic source of energy is the most potent one that's available to you right now. And the way that goes is, many of you, whether you've heard or not, maybe you can Google it. There are many energy points and nadis within us, chakras within us. So if you take the major 7 chakras, they exist and they kind of control our life, both our physiological and psychological self. So in most of us, the chakras are either working properly or it is blocked. And when it is blocked is when you have, again, physiological or psychological issues. Before disease manifests in the physical body, it actually comes into the energy body. We have some 7 different layers of bodies. It's not just the physical body that we see. There is a auric body, there's an astral body, there is a mental body. So you guys can go and Google that. But we have these 7 chakras. So to share this principle, most people are operating at, let's say, 100 kilowatts of energy. That's a very crude example that I'm using. But let's say normal people, they're operating at 100 kilowatts of energy. The one who's operating at 500 or 600 is king or queen. So life favors these kings and queens. These are the 10% magicians I'm talking about, the ones who create their reality. Because only when you're in a very high level of energy, you can manifest things and you can manifest it quickly. So how do you raise your energy to that level? You practice sound meditation, as in sound chanting. I'm going to give all of you an experience right now where we would all chant together for about 11 counts of this particular chant. There are 2 chants. One goes and you have the other chant, which is the Om chant. It goes like this. Om. So Om is more powerful than because that sound goes and hammers all the 7 chakras, and there is energy released from these chakras. And when energy gets released from the chakras, automatically you go from 100 to 500. So about 3 to 4 weeks of constant practice every day for 10 minutes, your energy levels will rise. And also in the process, you will find that your health improves, your mental health improves, your physical health improves, because your chakras now start vibrating very nicely. And also, you will find that success happens to you easily. You start attracting things very easily. So, this is where the law of attraction kicks in, and you can use it. So, you need to do this practice. It needs to be loud. Om is more powerful than but if you have religious considerations, then you can stick to and it has to be loud so that that sound goes and hammers all the chakras. And that's how you need to do this on every day in the morning. Let's say about 10 minutes. You find yourself in one corner of the place where you won't be disturbed. You need to do it at a time when you don't have to rush for anything, because your mind should be able to relax. So if you have to leave for office at 8:30, then you do it at 6 o'clock in the morning when the whole house is sleeping. Wake up, find a corner, sit with your legs crossed like this, keep your spine erect, close your eyes, keep your hands in Dhyana Mudra or keep it like this, and start chanting. Keep chanting, keep chanting, keep chanting. There might come a time when your mind will say, enough, don't listen to your mind. Chant 5 more times, and then suddenly stop and freeze. Freeze and just be still. You know, don't stop the chant and immediately just get up and walk. In fact, there's a lot of energy that's released from the chakras. So the energy will start moving in circles around your body, and you'll actually feel very blissed out. So those of you who are, feeling really stressed and everything, this is a really physically blissful feeling that you can experience from your own body. And that's bliss is so amazing that, you will feel like soaking in it. Be there, and for as long as you want. Maybe after 3-4 minutes, when you feel it's enough, you just raise your hands in prayer, fingers spread, and then you slowly bring it together, thank the universe, open your eyes, start your day. So this needs to be practiced on a daily basis. Most people have given their, try meditation. It's like this. I have to show you this. It's like, we are this instant noodle generation. We want instant gratification. We want 2-minute results. So we want everything in a hurry. That's not how it works. That's not how the spiritual world works. I've learned it the hard way. You can't bring a goal-oriented, target-oriented thing to spirituality. So you meditate daily, just like how you brush your teeth. No expectations. Just go and do it for 10 minutes. Like, it's like, consider it like something you're doing for your mind. So this is very important, because what happens is, most people, they close their eyes, they don't do the sound chanting. Immediately 20 thoughts come, and then they are like, man, this is not for me, and then they give up, and they say meditation is not for me. And that is the reality of most people. And it is really sad, because meditation is the master key for a lot of things. Meditation is a master key for love, for peace, for success, for health. It's one master key for everything. So, if you don't embrace it, you're basically a big loser. So your mind has been trained for 23-25 years in a certain way of thinking. So overnight, it's not going to change. You need to put in that effort. So that's why when you give the mind a task like chanting, your thought traffic kind of comes down. So you need to practice this. Let's do collective chanting for about 11 counts of Yeah. We are supposed to stay in this state for longer, but since I'm on a webinar, let me quickly move to the last couple of slides. Don't expect for an easy life. In fact, straight roads don't make skillful drivers. You don't have to ask for a tough life as well, but whatever life deals you with, become such a good player of the game called life that you actually look forward to the next mystery that's unfolding itself. Be excited. Most people are looking towards life with a lot of fear and worry, like what will happen tomorrow. If you really have that faith in the divine, that the divine has some very good plans for you. And even if there are some negative situations, it's basically a karma, whatever you've done in the past. So look forward, excitedly to your life, and respond to every call that excites your spirit. So a lot of people ask, what is the purpose of my life and all that stuff. You basically need to see what is that excites you. Maybe painting excites you, maybe gardening excites you. So initially I understand that you can't suddenly become a painter and pay your bills, but if you have a gift, your job is to nurture that gift along with something else on the side, and maybe see if through that gift, if there is any way you can serve the world, where you can probably even monetize your gift. You need to go ahead and do that, but don't ignore your gifts and let it die. You didn't come here to become a doctor, especially in 43% of the cases. You are reluctantly in the career that you are. So don't go to your grave with regrets. Live your passions on the side. And if some of you are lucky, like what I did 2 years ago, I threw away my corporate job, and today I'm doing something that I love. So I work, I wouldn't say even I work, I play 7 days a week. Someone can call me at 12 o'clock also, I'll happily go. So, find that calling. And it's not some grand purpose where the heavens will open up and tell you this is your grand purpose. No, there is some gift that you are good at. Try and use that gift to be useful to the world, or at least let it excite your spirit. The universe is now telling you, I've given a piece of something, piece of me, do something good with it. So, you could have been born as a dog or as a pig or as a tree. You have been born as the greatest of the creations, human being. So, with all these principles, I hope you can craft and design your life. And, I'll be really happy if in the next 1-2 months, we start getting feedback on how things are changing or changed, and how things are, a lot of magic is unfolding in your life. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, for that very enlightening, as well as it's more like we are now more active. It's 11 o'clock at my time, 11 o'clock in the evening, but it feels like so energized after listening to the thoughts and practicing what you have taught us. So thank you so much for enlightening us with this section as well.
I'm just going to, I think, wrap up the whole thing, because I'll just show some context for people to take screenshots. So guys, this is what we are here. The mission of today, I think, is accomplished. I'm sure, like I can just assure you one thing, like whatever Govind just shared, these are the foundational principles. Okay. It will resonate with people when the time comes. But as you just move forward, just start incorporating whatever you said. And I'm like a living example. Without even knowing all of these, I was just struggling, finding my own way out, incorporated a little bit here, there. And you've seen, like, how I was able to accomplish things in my career. It all comes from understanding that spirituality is the foundational, like the anchor. Okay. It's that missing piece in that puzzle. And when you get it right, things will just fall in place, and you are the designer of your destiny. So for those of you who said, we are not sure if we are the co-creators, we are the co-creators and we are the authors. We need to write our story. And if we just put things in place, like just use all of these things that we just discussed. And these are 4 people that I wanted to sort of like, extend my gratification today, like my grandmother, my school headmistress, Raji, who's no more, and Dr. Meenakshi. These are all people that stood with me, and that's the me that then outgrew the culture. And then that's my mom there, you see. And please, you can find us at, you can take a screenshot on Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And then this is where you can find Govind. And you can start following us, and then anybody who's interested in more intense counseling and coaching can definitely stay in touch with us. That's it.
Yeah, I'm just launching that poll. If you're interested, we can always connect you as well, and we'll be happy to get you in touch and see how wonderful and magical life can be. Okay. Great. I'm seeing a lot of thank you messages on the chat. So thank you everyone for staying back and, attending and taking the most out of it. And we are just gonna keep that poll, and there we go. So a lot of people are interested, and I'll get all of you connected and see how things can change.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So yeah, if you have any questions or thoughts, put it up on the chat. We can still take a few questions if there are any doubts or anything you would like to know more. Yeah. But thank you so much for attending the session. And before we end, any parting words, Dr. Riz or Mr. Govind, you want to kind of go ahead with?
I've spoken a lot, so I'll leave to Govind.
No, same thing. I think, people are in different time zones, like Fakhruddin himself. So I think it's only fair that we let them go
Yeah.
on.
I mean, with the support of technology and the network connectiveness, the connectedness that we are, like the opportunities we have, definitely people can stay connected with us. There's more to come. There's definitely more to come. And yeah.
Sure, sure. And thank you so much for attending the session today. And we wish to see you in our future sessions as well. And we also hope to hear from you, as Mr. Govind said, practice after, the session today and let us know how it has been beneficial for you. So please write to either of us and we'll be happy to connect over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Bye.